Hi all, this is Uptra channel. On our channel we have already told about Putin and his cronies, who have become fabulously rich during his reign. Today is also a story about Putin's cronies, but not about Russian but from the West. We don't condemn those who have a villa in Miami or on the French Riviera, who can't live without foie gras, oysters or gender liberties. That's not the problem at all, but again, many of these people have traded their reputation, conscience in exchange for dirty money of the Kremlin. Watch this video and like it so others can see how corrupt Western politicians are strengthening Putin's regime. Let's start with Gerhard Schroder. When Schroder, 60, left his post as head of the German government, his biographer asked what he wanted to do after leaving office as chancellor. Schroder answered, "Make money." And he wasn't fooled. After leaving office as chancellor, he received a phone call from Putin, and accepted an offer to head the secret Nord Stream 1. Putin lobbied Schroder for this project. After the commissioning of the first Nord Stream, Gerhard Schroder began lobbying for the next Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Schroder repeatedly met with the German political elite and lobbied for Putin's personal project, that made Germany dependent on the Russian dictator. After the annexation of Crimea, Schroder continued to support Putin. Schroder headed the board of directors of the state corporation Rosneft and actively promoted deals profitable for Gazprom. After the outbreak of war in Ukraine, when Putin became a pariah, Schroder did not abandon his sponsor. He continues to talk about his meetings with Putin. Schroder offered Ukraine to surrender. He didn't give a damn about anything that was going on around. $600,000 a year from Rosneft, for the Nord Stream project another $300,000. Until the Nord Stream 2 project was shut down, because of the war, Schroder chaired the supervisory board of Nord Stream 2. When Russia's attack on Ukraine began, all of Schroder's office staff, including his chief of staff, resigned in protest, moving on. We still have a lot of Putin's puppets in reserve. There was another German in the management of Rosneft. His name is Matthias Warnick, the man who was directly in charge of the construction of Nord Stream 2. Matthias Warnick, an old friend of Vladimir Putin. Former employee of German intelligence service Stasi. To him Vladimir Putin owes a personal debt of gratitude. In 1993, Putin's wife Lyudmila was involved in a car accident which could have been fatal. Lyudmila Putina mentioned some man in front of whom all this was happening. This man couldn't wait long and left, leaving his coordinates. Warnick acted very quickly. Lyudmila had an operation in Germany, and Warnick's Dresden bank paid all the expenses. Warnick also paid for Putin's daughter's schooling in Hamburg school. He personally paid for Vladimir Putin's trips for negotiations with local businessmen. According to German journalists, Putin and Warnick are still close, and they often see each other in Moscow. At one point, the frequency of their meetings went up to once every 3 weeks. This is very often by Putin's standards. Warnick owned shares in Rosneft. Rosneft is not the only Russian state-owned company that Vladimir Putin gave to his Western cronies. Warnick worked in the management bodies of VTB Bank and Gazprom. Now the Warnick-Schroder couple is under sanctions. Let's move to Italy. An oligarch, a man who for many years in Italian politics. Silvio Berlusconi. Berlusconi met Putin in July 2001 at the G8 summit in Genoa. Berlusconi and Putin immediately developed a mutual sympathy. In the first 19 months of their relationship, Berlusconi and Putin made 8 official visits, not counting Putin's summer visit with his daughters to Berlusconi's villa in Sardinia. Berlusconi's annual informal trips to Moscow region for the birthdays of Vladimir Putin. They gave each other lavish gifts, posed and hugged in front of the cameras. That's how Putin talked about Berlusconi. We have developed a good personal relationship over many years of working together. And I can say that they will not change depending on the internal political situation in Italy. Berlusconi justified Putin's actions in Crimea and in Ukraine, which drew international criticism on Berlusconi. The Italian opposition called Berlusconi as Putin's mouthpiece. The unusual influence of Putin on Berlusconi attracted the attention of the world press. In 2010, Berlusconi was nicknamed Putin's ambassador. Journalists have noticed an obvious intertwining of friendly and commercial interests between Berlusconi and Putin. This can be seen in the conclusion of Russian-Italian gas contracts. Putin calls Berlusconi the last of the Mohicans in European politics. Berlusconi used to admire Putin, but now, after the monstrous shots from Bucha, he said he was disappointed in Putin. And he even suggested giving up Russian gas to reduce Europe's dependence on Putin. And here is the dance between Putin and former Austrian Foreign Minister, Karin Kneissl. This is the wedding of the Foreign Minister, where Putin came as the guest of honor. He did not come alone, but took a choir of Kuban Cossacks with him. While in power, Karin Kneissl lobbied for Putin's interests. She made ambiguous statements. Austria was the only major EU country under her leadership not to expel Russian diplomats. After the Salisbury poisoning, former Colonel GRU, Sergei Skripal and his daughter. In difficult times, it is necessary to maintain a dialogue. Karin Kneissl told Putin. The Kremlin liked this and Karin Kneissl was generously thanked. She was appointed to the Rosneft board of directors. Karin Kneissl remained there even after the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. In May of this year, she resigned from the board of announcers after Austrian society began to harshly criticize and question her for her support of the war. Another Austrian politician, Christian Kern, served on the board of directors of Russian railways for several years. Christian Kern served as Federal Chancellor of Austria and was head of the Austrian Democratic Party. He was invited to Russian railways as an independent director. On the first day after the outbreak of war, he left his post. Because it was a big difference to work for a corrupt regime and war criminals. On the board of directors of other state oil and gas exporting corporations, there was a former French Prime Minister, Francois Fillon. He was an agent of Putinism in France, as was Marine Le Pen, leader of the Nationalist Party and multiple candidate for the French presidency. She received funding from the Kremlin's banks. Journalists have learned that at least €9 million went into her accounts. Former Finnish Prime Minister and Member of Parliament Esko Aho served as an independent director at Sberbank of Russia. As you have now seen, amidst the war, some corrupt officials continue to receive money from the Kremlin gang. Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and to let more people know the truth, share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching our channel.